Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 9 Frames Podcast. This is episode 88, and it is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. I am Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us, as always, on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there, subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, the baseball season rolls on. Some teams are coming out really hot, while other teams are just really kind of stumbling out of the gate.
Not to mention, we have the first no-hitter of 2024 to bring you already, and it happened in an incredibly interesting way.
Wild that it happened this early. I think it was the earliest no-hitter in, baseball history.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
It might be second or third. It was the first 4 days.
Pretty wild to see, and an unlikely name under that on the ledger, but we will talk about that and much more. And we will start by talking about that no-hitter. Another no-hitter for the Houston Astros, man.
17th in their franchise history.
I don't know if you knew this, but they are responsible for 4 of the last 7 now.
That is insane.
Absolutely crazy. Blanco. If you don't know that name, I wouldn't be surprised. This was only his 8th major league start ever.
As a 30-year-old.
He's never made it past the 6th inning. He's barely come up in relief, really. So this is a guy that hasn't pitched much in the bigs, and there's his first no-hitter.
Yeah, it was a guy that was filling in because the Astros have a plethora of injuries to their rotational depth with McCullers or Keedy. The list goes on. Verlander, obviously, is not pitching right now. It's basically just Javier and Framber Valdez, so Blanco is filling in, and the guy throws a no-hitter in his first start of the season.
105 pitches for a 10-0 win. That's their first win of the year as well.
It's their only win of the year because they lost last night to the same Blue Jays squad, which we'll get into. But yeah, this is why baseball is the best sport on the planet, because it just doesn't. This stuff like this doesn't happen.
No, and I'll tell you exactly how it happened, because I was looking into it. I was specifically confused on how it happened, so I looked into his pitch usage that game, and he was throwing his changeup 34-point-something% of the time. Last year, he was a 2-pitch pitcher. He threw the slider first and the fastball second.
So he didn't even have a changeup.
No, he threw the changeup 8% of the time. Now it was his primary pitch, with the slider being secondary and a 4-seamer third. He was actually throwing the changeup high all night.
And keep everybody off balance. It looks like a fastball.
Guys straight up did not see it coming, and they took 9 innings plus to adjust to it, and they don't get one hit off the guy.
They never adjusted to it.
What a story.
Yeah, unbelievable, and congratulations to the Houston Astros and Blanco. I mean, hopefully we get a couple more this year, but if not, I mean, that's a way to start.
Most definitely. Take it to Game 2 here, and there wasn't much offense to speak about up until the 9th. The only run in that game was an Altuve solo homer in the 4th inning. Just crickets. 9th inning there, it's 1-0 game, and who else but Josh Hader comes in for his 4th appearance of the year. Gives up a single to Vladimir Guerrero, followed by a double play to Bo Bichette. He's having a rough kick to the year.
Yeah, so it all looked good for Hader up until that point. He had 2 outs, nobody on.
All you got to get is Justin Turner, and he does not do that. He walks him. Didn't really seem like he wanted much to do with him, with Davis Schneider coming up next.
Yeah, and also at the time, Turner was 3 for 3, so he probably didn't want anything to do with him with Davis Schneider coming up. But hindsight is 20/20. And it was not the right choice.
No, Schneider steps up and hits an absolute tank to really what is probably one of the deepest parts of that ballpark.
I say it's not the right choice, but I think most major league teams are going to opt to face Davis Schneider as opposed to Justin Turner, who's been a multiple-time All-Star.
Especially as a lefty, Turner smashes lefties. I don't really blame them for the decision here. If anything, it's just rough because Hader made a pitch that wasn't good enough in that situation, and that's not what he's known for.
Yeah, and we saw he struggled a little bit in the Yankees series. He blew a game there. I mean, he's off to a rough start in his Astros career after being given the highest salary for a closer in baseball history. So
that 2-run homer makes it 2-1 Toronto, and that is all we would see as Chad Green comes in and puts them down in order thanks to Jake Myers falling while stealing second base. And the Jays end up winning 2-1 for a split so far in that series. The question I was going to pose at the end of here, should Houston be legitimately worried about Josh Hader? He's now 0-2 with a 6.75, and he's taken 2 losses by both Juan Soto and Davis Schneider just 4 appearances into the year.
No, I don't think that they should be worried about Josh Hader at all. We've seen his track record. I mean, it's been, 3 games he's pitched in, if that, maybe
4.
even 4.
This is his 4th appearance, and he has.
Why are they overworking him so much?
That is also confusing.
4 in 6 games?
I really don't know. I guess because of the lack of pitching depth they have, they want to lean on his arm, but
because they know he's reliable. But
they
he hasn't
probably
been.
should maybe take the gas off the pedal there.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be worried about him. I mean, I think he'll be fine. It's also a 5-year contract, so we're looking at the very surface he's scratching.
My only concern looking into it would be if he has struggles pitching in this ballpark, because we haven't seen him do it much, being mainly or entirely an NL pitcher.
Yeah, the only way that we're ever going to find that out, though, is if he keeps going. You just got to let him pitch and see if he keeps blowing the games or not.
And we will keep our eye on those struggling Astros as they try to reclaim that glory that they've seen for the last decade.
Yeah, also, one last thing on the Blanco no-hitter. I mean, it's not like the Blue Jays are a bad lineup. They've got a very good lineup to no-hit this early into the season.
Most definitely. I'm excited to watch his next start, see how he keeps it going, because that's a lot of pitches.
This series is a 3-game, right, I believe?
Yes.
So this is the rubber game today.
Kicks off today, and it should be a fun one between 2 solid teams that I have both making the playoffs.
I did too.
We will move it on over to Monday's game here. I will just talk about that quick. Cincinnati, they win that Monday game 6-3, and Harper, after that game, is still hitless on the season. Bryce Harper coming into Tuesday. So Bryce Harper and the Phillies are pretty hungry coming into that game to make a statement after dropping the first game of the series to Cincinnati, and they do just that. He hits 3 bombs and scores 6 RBI through the raindrops, and his last homer was a grand slam in the 7th.
Yeah, and his only other 3-homer game of his career was also through the raindrops. So it's like when the rain falls, he hits bombs for some reason.
Specifically, being a good rain player isn't really a characteristic you see too much.
To get him up and out during a rainstorm is pretty crazy, and let alone 3, and to do it twice.
Yep,
Career
really
high
impressive.
6 RBI last night though. So.
Yeah, career high considering he's a multi-time MVP. That's
Wild.
incredibly impressive.
I mean, I remember back in the day we saw a guy like Lonnie Chisenhall. I remember he had an 8 or 9 RBI game. Bryce Harper's career high is 6, and that took a grand slam to get there.
Very true. Very
Plus
true.
2 solo homers. So, I mean, it's tough to get those numbers.
Cincinnati has been putting pressure on late in games that they are losing. We saw them do the back-to-back and end up walking off that game. So they end up scoring 3 in the 8th and 9th inning combined, but they still lose this game 9-4. This game is all about Harper, honestly. So far the series has been, because first we were talking about how he couldn't hit. Now we're talking about how he's got 3 bombs. Where did you rank Harper when you were predicting NL MVP this year?
I told you I had him pretty high. He was under consideration. It was very weird that he didn't get a hit in his first 10, 11 at-bats, but that surely will not hold up. We've seen him win 2 MVPs on 2 different teams. I had him pretty high. I had him within the top 5 minimum, maybe top 3.
I will admit he is a guy I often overlook because of being a Met fan. I am biased against him, but it's impossible not to put him in the top 5, and that's exactly where he sits. I think he'll have a phenomenal season again.
Yeah, when you take the Mets and NL East bias out in general, he is a top 5 player probably. In the NL at least, he's got to be. So you assume he's probably a top 10 player, which I would never argue with the numbers he's put up. I think he's going to be all right, and I think, honestly, the Phillies will be all right. This might be the year that they snag the division. Who knows?
Could be. Cincinnati and Philadelphia, after splitting those first 2, Cincinnati's now 3-2, and Philadelphia is now 2-3. We'll move it on over to the White Sox and the Braves. Not for the reason you would think. I don't know. Did you see this video of the first base coach on Monday?
I don't think I did, no.
Absolutely insane. It's the 8th inning of a 9-0 game. The inning is starting. Atlanta is pitching. Nobody goes out to first base for the Chicago White Sox.
To coach?
Nope. It takes 2 minutes of the umpire screaming, give anyone a helmet. Give anyone a helmet and send them to first base. It takes 2 full minutes. They give it to someone that I don't think is the first base coach. And, they end up losing that game and going 0-4.
What happened to the original first base coach?
Don't know.
He
Wasn't there.
Did he quit?
Maybe walked away. Went into the clubhouse. Not sure.
Was he taking a shit or something?
Haven't really heard.
happened there?
He just wasn't there for 2 minutes. It's one of the most confusing things I've seen in a while.
It's a really bad look that the score was 9-0 because that makes it look like you were just done with it.
They lost that game 9-0, and they ended up 0-4, so that's a couple zeros on their end there.
Yeah, for it to be the 8th inning, down 9-0, and you not show up, that's got to be a bad look, and I wonder how the White Sox handle that.
Yeah, the reason I brought this up specifically is because they handled it incredibly well when you go into Game 2 of this series. And Game 2 is about changing roles here. Garrett Crochet, the new starting pitcher, had 8 Ks opening day against the Tigers, who ended up sweeping them. He dominates again, and this is a phenomenal lineup to
Arguably the best lineup in baseball.
Yep.
He pitched very well against them last night.
7 innings pitched, just gives up 3 hits, 1 walk, gives up 1 run on a solo homer in the 7th from Marcell Ozuna, ends up getting 8 Ks again, and this is only his second big league start, man.
Yeah, he looks very comfortable. He looks like he doesn't have a lot of pressure on him, knowing that I think that him being on a team like the White Sox really could be helping his confidence because he doesn't have a lot of pressure because they don't have high expectations on the season.
Most definitely. I think that's a lot of what the White Sox are built on right now.
They're probably
is
telling
giving
him,
guys a
listen,
chance."
dude, just go out there, pitch your best, and we'll see how it goes. And he's pitched lights out, honestly, for the first 2 starts of 2024. So hats off to Garrett Crochet.
The White Sox enter the 9th here with a 3-1 lead, and a new closer, Michael Kopech,
Who's been a starter his entire career.
He's the new closer here, and he already got 2 outs in the 8th. So he's 2 outs into his outing here when he's going to work a full 9th inning.
That's the benefit of having him be able to do that, is because he was a starter for so long. He can be a bulk inning guy, multiple
Yeah, an
innings.
arm that has been seen to have a lot of fire in it, but not really that length or durability to go a full start.
Yeah, so they probably cap him out at like 3 innings.
He ends up giving up a home run to Marcell Ozuna, his 2nd of the game, and they put some pressure on with more base runners, but he gets his first big league save here, and the White Sox are now 1-4. The question I wanted to pose at the end of this: who will be the worst team in MLB?
Are you talking about the whole league?
The worst team in MLB.
It's really going to be between 3 teams. It's going to be between the White Sox, the Rockies, and the Oakland Athletics, and I got to be honest with you, I cannot pick any other team besides the Oakland Athletics. They are an absolute dumpster fire. They're sending players down like Asturi Ruiz, who doesn't deserve it. They're benching Brent Rooker, who was their only All-Star last year.
Did you see why?
Because they're wearing something, a wristband from a dive bar, because the bar is pro sell the team.
That's really unprofessional, really bad.
I saw a PDF or like a notes thing that was sent out to A's employees, and it was like, anything that says rooted in Oakland or Oakland, take it down.
The slogan of the team for most of their best years.
They're like trying to erase the fact that they were in Oakland this year, and it's mind-boggling. Like, that was one of the most iconic franchises in baseball, and it's just completely gone to shit because of John Fisher and the A's management.
Just been around forever. Absolute clown ownership there. And
yeah, it's terrible. I mean, the MLB really needs to step in and make that guy sell the team, as if they have that power. I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah.
So they need to do something about that guy, because he's just being a flat-out dick.
Yeah, for sure.
He's just trying to
He basically ran Trevor May to retirement.
Yeah, I mean, why would you want to go out there and pitch in front of 35? You're playing minor league games every night in a major league stadium.
Yeah, what was their attendance last night?
3,500. They said if the attendance is less than 5,000, they're closing certain gates. That's unbelievable. They're a Major League Baseball team, dude.
I'll give them credit. I think they'll be the most embarrassing team this year.
I've never, ever heard of a team closing entrances to fans because of how shitty the attendance is.
Really bad.
That's really bad.
I think they'll clearly be the most embarrassing team of the year, but I give my worst team of the year to the Colorado Rockies. That roster is really, really bad, and it was either Monday or yesterday's game, it was a routine single to left field to Nolan Jones. He doesn't put his glove down, and it becomes an inside-the-park home run.
From Morel, yeah, I did see that. But the thing is, we're talking about bad defense. The A's have committed 13 errors in their first 5 games.
That's almost impressive.
It is impressive. They're going to be like a historically bad defensive team, it seems like, and like, I don't know. It's just hard to pick against the A's. They just look like such a dumpster fire, man.
Certainly my top 2, or bottom 2, I suppose. We'll keep our eye on that and see who ends up being the bottom feeder.
Teams like the Nats and the Pirates are leaps and bounds ahead of these teams now too.
Well,
the Nats have rebuilt and they're on their way back up before these teams.
We talked about offseason, the way that the Pirates and the Nationals specifically brought in so many veterans to give them a chance and try to be competitive. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Because they can end up trading those guys at the deadline if you have to, and if you don't trade them, you end up being a good team and you give your fans something worth watching.
The Pirates have still yet to lose a game.
Even the White Sox making moves and trying to do something interesting. Like, at least you're switching it up a little bit. You get rid of Tim Anderson. You're bringing guys in and making trades. I mean, it just feels like the A's and the Rockies just sat on their hands.
Yeah. Another team that might be up there, though, I mean, I know they made the playoffs last year. The Marlins look terrible.
Yeah, we are going to talk about them next. They ended up getting swept in a 4-game. Actually, we'll talk about them in a bit, but because we're going to talk about the Pirates' success first. But yeah, like you said, Miami is not doing well at all. But after sweeping Miami in a 4-game on the road to start the year, Pittsburgh heads to Washington to face another NL East team Monday. This game ended up close until the 8th inning. It was 3-3 at this point, and the Pittsburgh offense exploded. They get 3 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th. It's all small ball, no homers. Connor Joe, Key Brian Hayes, Cutchin, 2 by Reynolds. They all rack up RBIs, and that is an 8-4 win for the Pirates to beat 5-0 for the first time since 1983.
I genuinely believe that Connor Joe will end up being a big piece for the Pirates, whether it be for the Pirates or them trading him away to get something back to replenish, because, I mean, he's a good ball player. They're very underrated.
They're a team with some legit young ball players like Sawinski, like Key Bryan, like Connor Joe, and then they have the veterans like
Ryan Reynolds,
McCutchen, Chapman in the pen. I mean, these are guys who have been there and done that. Former MVP, reliever of the year type guys are out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see the Pirates do well again. That's another team that's really just been bad for a while, with
and
the
a fan base that deserves it.
Yeah, with the exception of a few years in the mid 2010s. When they made the playoffs and they looked like they were on the upswing when Kutch was MVP and whatnot. But since then, man, they really haven't gone anywhere. They've been a basement dweller in the NL Central for a few years now. Them and the Cardinals were last year, but they weren't far behind or far in front of them. So it's nice to see the Pirates having a little more success to start this season.
Most definitely. That leaves 3 undefeated teams, and they all play in A Central. We have the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Milwaukee Brewers from the NL Central, and the Detroit Tigers from the AL Central. The question I wanted to pose here is, did we and everyone else underestimate Pittsburgh, or is this just an early season fluke and they'll settle back into that bottom feeder role?
I don't think they'll be a bottom feeder. I think they look good.
You don't see them coming in last in the Central?
No, they won't come in last.
Okay, well,
I think the Cardinals are coming in last. That team sucks.
Fair enough.
That team is really bad. They have no pitching at all.
No, that's very true. And with Sonny Gray starting the season not pitching for them, that is even more jarringly obvious.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams are going to have to be carried by offense. The Pirates don't seem to be one of them. They seem to be hitting every night.
I hope Pittsburgh stays hot.
6-7 runs every night against Miami.
And the
you
whole
said,
team
what did you say against
8-4 this one?
8. Mm-hmm. They just keep putting up nearly 10 runs a night. I mean, you're not going to lose many games.
Yeah, and giving up 4 isn't the worst thing in the world either. Their pitching has been solid. I mean, if they can keep winning ball games, you take it day by day, and this could be a team in the hunt. And with this new expanded playoff, there's no reason they can't be in the hunt if they keep playing day in and day out.
We saw last year that you can never count teams out. Nobody had the D-backs or Rangers going to the World Series, and they both did. So
most definitely.
Who's to say that the Pirates can't make a turnaround this year?
Yeah, so I think we're both on the boat that it isn't really an early season fluke, and we hope that they stay as hot as they've been.
I would like to see some success this year, yeah.
Now we will talk about Miami, and oh boy, bro, it is not going well at all. Mike Trout, they end up playing here on Monday, and he has a 2-homer game in Miami.
Second one was a moonshot.
The second one went 473 feet in the 6th inning off George Soriano. This tank went over the big M in left center field. You don't see many go over there, and this was easily the most impressive homer of the 2024 season.
The place I refer to, like the type of home run that he hit in Miami, that was a Stantonian blast from when he was an MVP in Miami back in 2017.
Yep.
So it looked a lot like that. He hit it to dead center, went over all the clubs. It honestly might have left the ballpark. We don't know where it went after it bounced off the roof.
Yep, very true. I mean, the Angels end up capping that game off 7-4 behind the former multi-time MVP Mike Trout's impressive game. And they proceed to win Tuesday's game 3-1 as well against the Marlins, with Miami not scoring their lone run until the 9th inning. The Angels are now 3-2, and Miami is 0-6 with literally nothing going right.
Yeah, I think I might have heard that the Marlins have never started 0-5, and now they're 0-6.
Yeah, really impressive in the worst way.
Yeah, and I hope that the Mets don't follow suit.
No, for sure.
Two losses away.
I mean, how do we feel about both of these teams' playoff chances at this point?
What, the Angels and the Marlins?
Yeah, Angels and the Marlins.
The Angels are not going to be in the playoffs. I mean, they just don't have they don't have the roster.
No, it doesn't seem like it, especially with the pitching.
And especially with their leadoff hitter, who's Anthony Rendon, with a .5 something OPS. Like, he's literally not doing anything for their team. He doesn't have a hit. Maybe take him out of the leadoff spot. But they are still 3-2 and in first place somehow.
Yep, very true.
The Marlins, I didn't have any thought that they would be this bad. I thought that they
Bubble
would be,
team.
like they were last year. Maybe you take a little bit of natural progression, like, guys have career years, they're not gonna this year. But man, 0-6 is a tough start.
A really tough start. I actually agree with you. I don't really think either of these teams will make the playoffs. And it's 0-6 as a whole that you got to dig yourself out of immediately.
I would love to see the Angels make the playoffs.
If they could,
Trout's
get
sake,
Trout
that would be
back
cool.
there. I mean, this is the first time Trout has played without Ohtani in
How
6
ironic
years.
would it be as soon as Ohtani leaves, they go back to the playoffs? That'd be so funny.
Yep. The last question I wanted to pose here was, what is Mike Trout's MVP chances now that Ohtani is gone from the team and he's really just alone over there?
We just kind of can't count him out until we can.
Yeah, if he stays healthy and he is in that form right now. We've seen it since literally his first at bat when he takes a Cy Young yard. He takes Corbin Burns' yard there.
Yeah, 3 bombs in the first week.
Very impressive, and one of them goes nearly 500 feet
In a stadium that isn't particularly known for giving up large
it's
shots
closed,
like that.
it's not windy, so Mike Trout
That was all muscle.
really showing off power. It was a low pitch as well. He's one of the best low pitch hitters probably ever.
Might be the best low pitch hitter in the game today.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. So Mike Trout, he's in my probably top 3 AL Cy Young candidates.
MVP, you mean?
MVP, not Cy Young. I don't know
That'd
why
be
I said that. Yeah, I meant MVP for sure. He's in my top 3 MVP candidates for the American League. And I don't see either of these teams making the playoffs, but I would love to see the Angels make it. That would be a fun little Cinderella story.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like we're getting to a weird part of Mike Trout's career where people are just like for some reason forgetting how damn good he is.
Yeah, what was he ranked 13th best or something?
They put him behind
that.
Michael Harris Jr. at MLB Network in the center fielder rankings, which is absurd. It's never true. It's never going to be true.
Way.
So we could just stop that right now. We could stop with the Braves gobbling whenever we want. Nobody on the Braves is better than Mike Trout except for maybe Ronald Acuna. I'd probably take over him because of age.
Yeah, fair enough to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he has another MVP caliber season. All it's going to come down to is health for Mike.
Lock in. He's one of the most fun to watch in the game. Thank you for everybody for listening wherever you do. This was episode 88 of the 9 Frames podcast. It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. I've been Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us, as always, on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there. Subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, we appreciate it, as I always say. And as baseball season rolls on, so will the episodes.
Yeah, the conversations have been fun. The baseball has been exciting. Really, we're getting just things we haven't seen before. Ronel Blanco is now a changeup pitcher.
And a no-hitter. He's got one under the belt.
And maybe he's a name to watch going forward. We would love to see it. But, it would be wild to see Houston produce another star.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do. That's kind of what they've done for the past decade.
A lot more fun baseball coming up. Stay locked in. I know we will be.
Yeah, we'll see you Friday.